Hey, thanks for joining. Today I'm going to show you how to make an outside the waistband Kydex holster for a gun with a light on it. So we're going to make a light bearing holster. The first thing we're going to want to make sure is that our gun is clear. You can see this one is. But I will go over the steps. This has a I-protec RM230 light on it, but it'll be the same for pretty much any light you can buy. And this is a cheap light, and this is one of the reasons why I got into making Kydex holsters, because I could not find a holster for this particular light. So in this video I'm going to go over the steps of how to mask it, and then we're going to get one made. This will be an outside the waistband two-piece, like a pancake style holster. So the process for masking and all that will be pretty much the same, and the process for an inside the waistband will be the same as the inside the waistband holster. That there is a link right up here that will go to my playlist of Kydex holsters. There's a step-by-step, and then there is your inside the waistband. There's a pocket holster one and how I make the clips I use for it. So make sure you check out all those videos, and make sure you subscribe below so that you don't miss any other ones. I'm going to cut our first one basically 8x8. It's plenty big. And one good thing you can do with these scraps, and I'll try to make a video on it before long, these are perfect to make little mag holders and stuff like that. Oh yeah, it's plenty big. So like I said, this one is going to have is going to be the inside, so it'll have a sweat shield. So you want to make sure you set it on here like you're going to wear it. This is going to be a right hand holster, so sit on here just like so. And I'm going to let the light protrude out the bottom just a little bit. That way it's open on the bottom. If you get any dirt in the holster, it'll fall out. But I'm going to kind of just trace this on here just a little bit, so whenever I set the gun on it after the Kydex is warm, I know it's in the right spot. Alright, so that's our back. We'll go ahead and set it over here out of the way. Alright, so our front's going to be a lot shorter, so we're going to make it just 6 inches is plenty for it. So we'll go ahead and make it 6x8. Front. Set it on here basically where we want to go and kind of trace it. We get at the basics of where we want it. Alright, now we will mask the gun. Alright, so for masking with a light, Have to be sure to cover. Find some of my parts here. Be sure and cover anything that protrudes. You can see on this light, this particular light has little screws. Some lights have a switch that sticks out, like the TLR ones and stuff have a switch that sticks out. This one does not, this has little buttons. But it has these screws that stick out, so you want to make sure you mask up plenty far so they'll slip in without catching on the holster. And put those in there. Basically, other than that, all the masking principles are the same for any gun. Just mask off anywhere you don't want it to get too tight for tension. When you use these blocks of wood like I'm using, just make sure you keep them good and straight. It might look kind of goofy if your holster was, you know, if the lines are crooked. And that's all the masking I'm going to do to this gun. It's ready to go. So let me get this stuff in the oven. We'll get it heated up. I'll switch the camera around and we'll be ready to press it soon. Like I said before, if you haven't watched my original video, you really should go back and watch it because it goes over the whole process step by step. But when you put it in the toaster oven, you put it in a cool oven and turn it up incrementally, just slowly, and let it heat to that heat setting and click off, and then go ahead and turn it up another notch, and then go ahead and turn it up another notch till you get it to around 300 degrees. And one other thing I do, I throw one of my pieces of foam on my press, I throw it on top of the toaster oven just so it starts warming up and just gets a little, you know, a little bit warm. It doesn't have to be hot, just warm. And the other piece in the gun, I take the heat gun and just slightly heat. Do the same to the gun. Don't hold it one place and get it hot. Just get it warm so it's not ice cold whenever you're putting the hot Kydex on it. It just gives it, it lets it have a little more definition to it if you do it that way. Set it on there. Get on there how we've outlined it. Alright, now we just get it clamped down and let it set for about 5 minutes till it cools, and then we'll be ready to do the second one. Alright, so now we let it cool. Go ahead and gently pull it off the gun. There's what our backside is going to look like. Now I've got the front in the oven heating right now, so once I get it up to temperature, we'll go ahead and do the front. Get it clamped down and let it set for about 5 minutes to cool. And then I'll be back and we'll start marking it and cutting it out. Alright, so now we've got the front cooled off, the gun's unmasked. So, let's set it in here and see how it seems like it's going to fit. Just some of these little clamps to kind of hold it together how I want it. Get it where it fits like it's supposed to. And there. Now, let's take our pencil and start drawing how we want it to look. So definitely got to come down here. Make sure you leave plenty of room behind the trigger guard for you to get your hand in there and get a good firing grip on it. I'll just mark this and cut a little bit at a time until I get it how I want it. I'll go ahead and come across the bottom. And this is my pattern piece. A little low there. This is just a piece I made a pattern out of a piece of scrap Kydex for my drill marks, so I can adjust this and it'll line up with all these holes. No matter where it sits on here, it lines up with 2 holes. Real simple thing. I just took this and measured it out and drew it on a scrap piece and then drilled it, and I can just use this to mark the holes. I'm also using this to make sure I make it wide enough for that. So we're going to start with that basic design on the front. We'll transfer these marks over. Go ahead and come across here. And then we know we want to meet to this mark, so we're going to curve it. It comes up here, still makes our sweat shield. Mark the back side of it. Take the gun off. It marks right here. We use that for our basic design. I'm going to go get these cut out on the scroll saw, and then we'll come back and adjust it some. So just hang tight. Alright, so I've got the basic shapes cut, so let's put it back in here. Let's see where it fits. Okay. Now we've got our basic shape. Definitely still got to cut more out right in here. It's going to come down a little. Make sure I've still got this big enough for this. Let's see what's over there. Can't really come down anymore. ahead and mark it right across here. And it's not all the way together there, so I'm going to take the heat gun and I'm going to kind of tighten that up right there. So I'm going to clamp it first. Turn it over and do the same thing on this side. Okay, now we got that, we got to decide if those are still in the right spot. I'm not sure if they are. I'm sure my wife would be proud to see me use my hoodie to do that. Let's see, clip about right there, so we'll scoot that about here. Well, that one would have been alright. Yeah. Alright, this should give me plenty of room there, so I'm going to go cut these off here, notch a little bit out right in here. Both sides, and then I'll start smoothing it up after we get there. I just keep working in small amounts till I get it right, because you can always take more off. It's kind of hard to add it back. Okay, now that I got it cut to where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and drill it and put a couple rivets in it just to hold it for now. Okay, I'm gonna get it drilled and I'll be right back. Okay, I just drilled 2 holes opposite of each other, and I'm just gonna rivet those 2 together so that way it stays in place while I work on the rest of this. Put our finished side of our rivets on the front. Like I've said in all these videos, just use gentle taps first and you won't split a rivet. If you try to hit it real hard, you'll end up splitting a rivet every time. And they're kind of a pain to get out if you split them. Nippers seem to work the best if you do split one. Alright, now I'm going to drill the rest of these holes, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now that I got all the holes drilled, I'm going to go ahead and rivet them all, and then we'll go back to sanding and smoothing, and I'll have to take the heat gun and we'll shape it some too, but I'm going to go ahead and set these rivets right now. So I'll be back after I get all these set. Alright, so now I've got all the rivets set. All that's ready to go. So now I'm going to take it over to the sander and go ahead and even up all the edges, and then I'll take it to the buffer and polish them all. That way they're all real good and smooth, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little bit of hand sand work, and then we'll take the heat gun and go ahead and adjust it, get the retention set, get it where it slides in and out good and all that. So I'll be back in just a few. Alright, I got it polished up with the buffer and the sander as best I can. So now everything else is left by hand. Make sure all the edges are good and rounded, that way you don't get caught on clothing or anything. Alright, before you put the gun in it after you sand it and polish it, I would recommend either blowing it out with compressed air, washing it in the kitchen sink, something. Get all the junk out of there. I'm going to go blow this out and I'll be right back. Push it in around the ejection port on this holster, that way my retention comes around there. Just heat it up and put my thumb down in there until I get the retention I want. I'm going to go ahead and let it cool now for just a minute so I don't lose anything I've just gained, and then we'll heat it right through here and fold these in just a little so it conforms to your body more. And then we'll mount the belt clip and try it out. It doesn't have to be much of a bend, just a little. Make it where it's a little more comfortable and it's not straight. I try to do this with the gun in it just because that way it doesn't distort the shape of the holster any. See? Now we got just a slight bend to it. Alright, on this holster I'm going to use some polymer clips that I ordered off Amazon. I'll put a link to these too down there in the description. We'll go ahead and get these on here. And these are adjustable due to where we put the holes, so we can kind of decide if we want to cant to it or not. Alright, so I'm going to put the front one in the top hole to start with and see how that feels with the cant. Back one. We'll set it one hole lower in the front. Try that to start with. Alright, and then once I get it decided if that's where I want it or not, I'll snug these screws down good and tight, and that should be it. So there you have it. How to make you a light bearing Kydex holster in just a few easy steps. And if you want to, you can make this taller so the light doesn't stick out. The reason I don't is because I don't want the holster any bigger than it has to be. It's just a little more uncomfortable when you sit down and stuff, so the light doesn't bother you. But when you have these two wings sticking out farther, they do kind of dig into your leg, at least if you're fat like me. And you can adjust your retention just by heating it and keeping playing with it. And you can adjust your cant just by moving these up and down wherever you'd like them. So that's the basics of it. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and check out all my other Kydex holster videos. Thanks for watching.